Hi, and welcome to this Wound Hygiene Bite-sized podcast. My name's Shelley Hawkins, Strategic Customer Engagement Manager at Convatec. During this bite-sized podcast, we're going to be introducing you to wound hygiene, a 4-step protocol of care that can be done by anybody for hard-to-heal wounds. For this second episode, I'm joined by Dr. Kate Meredith, Principal Scientist and Microbiologist at Convatec. So Kate, can you start by telling us what biofilm is, please?
So the scientific kind of term for biofilm is a community of bacteria that are kind of living together within a extracellular polymeric substance that protects them. But sometimes, I get the lucky job really of looking at biofilms down the microscope. And what they kind of look like for me when they're growing is like a little forest of bacteria growing up, and then they have like a protective kind of slime around the bacteria, which protects them.
Yeah, you make them sound quite beautiful. Are they beautiful to look at?
They are really beautiful. They multiply very quick, bacteria, so we can grow biofilms within hours sometimes. So they are very beautiful.
So Kate, tell us about where biofilms can be found. Is it just in wounds?
Well, actually, biofilms, bacteria actually have like 2 ways that they can grow. They can grow planktonically, so in single cells, just swimming around, a bit like fish, or they can grow in these biofilms, so like big communities. So sometimes I think of these communities like forests. So they're kind of like a big forest together with a nice ecosystem of different bacteria and things like that. And we can have them anywhere really. So we can have them in our pipes at home, in our shower heads. So maybe you have a pet and you look at their dog bowl, you haven't washed it for a couple of days, and sometimes you get that film on the bottom of it. That's biofilm as well. But we also have biofilm on us. So we have it in our mouths. So basically we clean our teeth twice a day to actually help manage the biofilm in our teeth and on our teeth, because if we left them to grow, we'd actually get tooth decay. So we brush our teeth, and then hopefully that kind of takes that furry feeling away, and that's all the biofilm that's on there.
It's that kind of slimy coating, isn't it? I think all of our listeners will be licking their teeth.
I know. It's making me want to do that too.
Yeah. So it's kind of obvious in your teeth. You can feel it when you've got that slimy coating, but when it comes to a wound, how can you tell if it's got biofilm present?
Oh, it's so much more difficult in a wound because obviously bacteria are so small, so are difficult to see anyway. But also you have like additional issues. So there's so many bacteria, millions of different species and types. So the combination you might have in that wound gives you a different look as well. I grow some bacteria called Pseudomonas aeruginosa. You guys probably all know that one, the green one. And that biofilm gives you a big slimy biofilm. Whereas when I grow my MRSA or my Staph aureus, it's very compact, the biofilm. It's very less watery and such like that. So if you think of that combinations and what all these different bacteria are doing in the wound, they can look very different. But additionally, the problem with wounds is that you've got exudate, you've got slough, actually all these sort of stuff kind of looks like biofilm as well, and that's the problem. It's just so hard to know if there's biofilm there or not.
Yeah, and something else that I think our listeners may find confusing, I certainly find it confusing, is what is the difference between a wound that has biofilm and a wound that is infected?
So when we think of infection, there's kind of 2 routes that you kind of go. You have the acute infection. So when I think of acute infection, it might be a cut of finger. You have that rush of your body goes into red alert, basically, sends all the inflammation, all the cells to try and help combat infection in that zone. But when you're thinking about biofilm in wounds, it's more a chronic infection causing that hard to heal wound. And in a way, the bacteria in the biofilm kind of take control in a sense of your immune system. They kind of nudge it gently. So they're like, oh, I'm here, send some neutrophils to try and kill me. But actually what happens is when the body sends those neutrophils, it kind of causes more destruction to the wound, which for the bacteria is good because it's more food for them. So they're having a happy time.
And can you tell us more about what is that makes biofilm so difficult to get rid of? Why does it present such a challenge in wound care?
Well, because of this slime or the EPS, the extracellular polymerics that they have around them, antiseptics and antibiotics really struggle to penetrate into the slime in a sense. So all those bacteria are really protected. So if you think about walking through a forest and you think of your canopy of trees, you don't always feel the rain. And it's kind of that same. If you think of the rain as the antibiotics, antiseptics, yeah, you're protected. And that's what that EPS is doing. And even from our immune system, the neutrophils, even though they're big and they do their best to try and eat the biofilm, it's really difficult for them.
Yeah, and they're quite intelligent, aren't they?
They are, in a sense. They have such clever little ways. They can communicate. So if there's enough of them, they have this quorum sensing, it's called, and they send out little peptides to each other, and that tells each other to kind of switch on different genes. And so like, say, if there's an antibiotic around, they can go, oh, switch on that pump and we'll pump the antibiotic out of our cells. And they'll do that as a community. So they can be really problematic. And another thing they do is they can, within biofilms, they can actually switch their genes. So they can share genes as well, which obviously causes tremendous problem clinically.
And did I hear correctly? You can have sleeper ones as well that are lying dormant.
Yeah. So if, they've got all these other defenses, and then they also have these sleepers. So basically in the biofilm, you'll have little areas where the bacteria actually are not growing, which is problematic because most antibiotics need to work on growing bacteria. And they're just asleep, lying dormant, basically. And then you think you might have got rid of all the biofilm and all the bacteria, and then they suddenly just pop up and start growing again. So, yeah, they are problematic, really, biofilms, in a lot of ways.
Thank you, Kate. That was absolutely fascinating. I hope our listeners found that useful. You've certainly outlined the scope of the challenge that we're really facing with biofilm in these hard to heal wounds. So I'm going to thank Kate very much for joining us for episode 2 of this podcast series. And in episode 3, we're going to start by helping you to address this challenge with our solution, wound hygiene, this 4-step protocol of care, by starting with the first step. So we'll see you then.